Dr. Hannah Kim stood at her apartment window, looking out at the city lights of Seoul. The recent peace treaty with the Andromeda Alliance had changed everything. Earth was now officially part of the galactic community, and the cultural exchange program was in full swing. Her doorbell rang. Hannah smoothed her lab coat nervously and checked her appearance one last time in the mirror. The government had selected her, a renowned xenobiologist, to host one of the first alien domestic helpers on Earth. She opened the door and had to look up. Way up. The alien stood nearly 7 feet tall with iridescent blue skin that seemed to pulse with gentle light. 4 slender arms were folded politely in front of its torso, and 3 large eyes blinked at her with vertical pupils. "Greetings, Dr. Kim. I am Ta. I have been assigned to your residence for the cultural exchange program," the alien said, its words coming through a small translator device around what Hannah assumed was its neck. "Hello," Hannah replied, stepping back to allow Ta inside. "Please come in." Ta ducked to enter the doorway, moving with remarkable grace for such a tall being. Inside the apartment, all 3 eyes widened, taking in the human living space with obvious curiosity. "Your dwelling is most interesting," Ta commented, one hand reaching toward a houseplant before pulling back uncertainly. "You can touch things," Hannah said. "Just ask first, please." Tae's skin flashed a brighter blue. "Thank you, Dr. Kim. I will learn your customs quickly." Hannah led Ta through the apartment, showing the kitchen, living room, and guest bedroom that would be Ta's space. She pointed to her private study and bedroom. "These rooms are off-limits unless there's an emergency or I invite you in. I need my privacy," she explained. "Your boundaries are respected," Tae replied, its skin pulsing in what Hannah would later learn was a pattern of understanding. Hannah showed Ta how the basic appliances worked. The alien seemed particularly fascinated by the refrigerator, standing with all 4 arms holding the door open as cool air escaped. "This is cold storage for food?" Ta asked. Remarkable simplicity. "Do you have something similar on your world?" Hannah couldn't help asking. The scientist in her was already taking over. "We grow our nutrients as needed," Ta said, touching its own skin. "Our bodies contain gardens." Hannah blinked in surprise. "That's incredible. I'd love to learn more about your biology." "I am permitted to share basic information," Ta said. "The exchange program encourages mutual understanding." That evening, they sat at Hannah's kitchen table. Hannah had prepared a simple meal, unsure what Ta could eat. The alien politely declined the food, explaining that it absorbed nutrients through light and water. "So you photosynthesize?" Hannah asked, immediately intrigued. "A simplified explanation, but essentially correct," Tae replied. As they talked, Hannah began to relax. Despite its alien appearance, Tae was thoughtful and curious. The conversation flowed more easily than Hannah had expected. "Why did you join this program?" Hannah finally asked. Tae's skin rippled with blue waves. "I study other species. Like you, I'm a scientist. On my world, I research biological diversity." "You're a xenobiologist too," Hannah laughed. "They matched us well. The program administrators believed your expertise would make adjustment easier," Ta confirmed. "And I hope to learn from a human scientist." Hannah smiled, feeling a connection she hadn't expected. "Well, I have many questions for you too." Later that night, as Hannah prepared for bed, she caught herself feeling excited about the days ahead. Having Ta here would certainly be an adjustment, but also an incredible opportunity. In her bedroom, she removed her prosthetic leg with practiced movements. 5 years after the lab accident, the routine was second nature. She placed it beside her bed and slipped under the covers. She thought about Ta, now settling into the guest room. The alien didn't know about her prosthetic yet. Few people did, as Hannah preferred it that way. She wondered how an alien would view human disability. Would there be understanding or confusion? For now, that was a revelation for another day. Hannah turned off her light, listening to the unfamiliar soft humming coming from Ta's room. The sound was actually comforting, like gentle music. Tomorrow would bring new discoveries. For the first time in years, Dr. Hannah Kim fell asleep feeling genuinely curious about what the future held. Hannah woke to strange sounds from her kitchen. She rubbed her eyes, quickly attached her prosthetic leg, and made her way toward the noise. She found Ta with all four arms working at once, one stirring something in a pot, another adjusting the stove temperature, a third chopping vegetables, and the fourth consulting a tablet displaying Korean recipes. "Good morning, Dr. Kim," Ta said, the translator device capturing the melodic tones of its native language. "I am preparing a traditional human breakfast." Hannah approached cautiously. The contents of the pot looked like porridge, but it had turned an unusual purple color. "What exactly are you making?" she asked. "Rice porridge, but I added nutritional supplements from my homeworld." Ta's skin pulsed with excitement. "They are safe for humans and will enhance your immune function." Hannah looked skeptical but took the bowl Tate offered. The porridge smelled like ginger and something unfamiliar. Not unpleasant, just different. She took a small bite and was surprised by the sweet, earthy flavor. "This is actually good," she admitted. "Thank you." Tae's skin brightened with pleasure. "I am pleased. Understanding human nutritional needs is part of my assignment." After breakfast, Hannah prepared for work. She found Ta in her bathroom, all three eyes wide with fascination as it examined her collection of cosmetics. "These substances alter your appearance?" Ta asked, holding up Hannah's foundation. "They enhance certain features," Hannah explained, taking the makeup from Ta's hand. "It's cultural, not biological necessity." "Fascinating. We change our skin luminescence to communicate, but not for aesthetic purposes." Hannah realized she'd need to be clearer about boundaries. "Please don't enter my bathroom without permission. It's a private space for humans." Tae's skin dimmed apologetically. "I misunderstood. The door was open, and I was curious." "Curiosity is fine, but always ask first." Later that day, Hannah returned from her lab to find her living room rearranged. Her furniture was positioned in a perfect circle, with her coffee table in the center. "What happened here?" she asked, dropping her bag in surprise. Tai emerged from the kitchen. "I improved the energy flow. In Andromedan dwellings, circular arrangements promote harmony." Hannah sighed. "On Earth, we arrange furniture for conversation and function. Please return everything to its original position." Tae's skin cycled through patterns of confusion. "Your arrangement blocked natural pathways." "It's how I like it," Hannah insisted. That evening, after Tai had reluctantly restored the furniture, Hannah tried to explain more about human customs. They sat together while Hannah showed pictures of Earth cultures on her tablet. "Humans are diverse," she explained. "What's normal in one culture might be unusual in another." "Like your sleeping cycle," Tai observed. "You require darkness and horizontal positioning for 8 hours. Very inefficient." Hannah laughed. "How do Andromedans rest?" "We absorb light during active periods and process energy during short meditation phases. No horizontal positioning required." "That explains why I heard you moving around last night. I apologize for disturbing you. I was studying your dwelling's energy patterns." The following day brought another misunderstanding when Hannah found Ta examining her research papers in her home office, a space she had specifically marked as private. "These are confidential," she said firmly, gathering the papers. "The door was open," Ta replied. "I thought the boundary had been removed." "No, I just forgot to close it. Private means private, even if the door is open." Tae's skin darkened with what Hannah now recognized as embarrassment. Human privacy concepts are complex. Their biggest clash came when Hannah discovered Ta had reorganized her kitchen cabinets by color rather than function. "This makes no sense," Hannah exclaimed, finding cooking oil stored with cleaning supplies because both had yellow packaging. "Color organization is universal," Tai explained, clearly puzzled by her reaction. Hannah spent an hour explaining the importance of separating food from chemicals, regardless of packaging color. Despite these challenges, they were learning from each other. When Hannah cut her finger while cooking, Ty applied a small amount of gel from a pouch in its forearm. The cut sealed instantly. Basic medical assistance, Ty explained. All Andromedan domestic helpers carry healing compounds. That night, Hannah updated her journal about her alien houseguest. Despite the frustrations, she was becoming fond of Ta's different perspective. Tomorrow, she decided, she would show Ta her laboratory at the university. Perhaps seeing her work would help the alien understand her better. What she didn't know was that tomorrow would bring a much more personal revelation than she had planned. The rain poured heavily as Hannah hurried home from the lab. She had stayed late analyzing new samples, losing track of time until the storm began. By the time she reached her apartment building, she was soaked and shivering. "Dr. Kim, you are experiencing temperature fluctuation," Tay observed as Hannah stumbled through the door. "Just cold and wet," Hannah said, her teeth chattering. "I need a hot shower." She headed to the bathroom, peeling off her wet clothes and standing under the hot water until her body stopped shaking. But as she dried off and dressed in warm pajamas, she felt a strange dizziness wash over her. Her throat felt scratchy, and her head throbbed. By morning, Hannah was burning with fever. She tried to get up but collapsed back onto her bed, too weak to stand. "Ta," she called, her voice hoarse. "I need help." The alien appeared in her doorway instantly, all three eyes widening at the sight of Hannah's flushed face. "You are ill," Ta said, moving closer. Its skin pulsed with concerned patterns. "Your temperature is dangerously elevated." "It's just a cold or flu," Hannah mumbled. "I need water and medicine." In the bathroom cabinet, Ta returned quickly with water and the medicine Hannah had requested. As the alien helped her sit up to take the pills, Hannah noticed all four of Tay's arms were trembling slightly. "Are you okay?" she asked, surprised by the alien's reaction. "Andromedan species do not experience infection illnesses," Ty explained. "I am concerned. Should I contact human medical authorities?" No, Hannah assured her. "This is normal. Humans get sick sometimes. I just need rest and fluids." Throughout the day, Todd checked on her frequently, bringing tea and soup. The alien had apparently researched human illness protocols and was following them meticulously. Hannah drifted in and out of sleep, the fever making her dreams strange and vivid. That evening, her fever spiked higher. She kicked off her blankets, feeling too hot then too cold. In her feverish state, she forgot about her prosthetic leg. She usually removed it before sleeping, but she had been too sick to follow her normal routine. "I need to take it off," she mumbled to herself, struggling with the release mechanism on her prosthetic. Just as she finally removed it and set it beside her bed, her bedroom door opened. Ty entered with a fresh glass of water and more medicine. "It is time for your next." Ta stopped abruptly, all three eyes fixed on Hannah's right leg, which ended mid-thigh. Hannah froze, suddenly aware of her exposure. She had been so careful to keep her prosthetic a secret, always wearing long pants around the apartment, always making sure her bedroom door was locked when she removed it. "Please leave," she whispered, pulling the blanket over her leg. But Ty didn't move. Instead, the alien's skin began to pulse with a gentle golden light, a pattern Hannah hadn't seen before. "You are physically incomplete," Tay observed, moving closer to the bed. "It's called a disability," Hannah said sharply, embarrassment and fever making her tone harsh. "Humans consider it private." To her surprise, Ty set down the water glass and knelt beside the bed. All four hands made a graceful gesture that the translator didn't interpret. "In my culture," Ta said softly, "physical variation is honored. Those with unique forms are considered to possess special wisdom." Hannah blinked in confusion. "You're not disgusted?" "Why would I be?" Ty asked, genuinely puzzled. "All forms of life adapt and change." Bodies tell stories. Tears welled in Hannah's eyes. From fever, from relief, from years of hiding this part of herself. On my world, Ta continued, those who have survived physical transformation are called the twice-born. They are respected as having experienced more of existence. Hannah had never heard disability described this way. In her experience, people either pitied her or pretended not to notice. May I ask how this occurred? Ta's voice was gentle. A lab accident, Hannah said quietly. 5 years ago, an experiment with volatile compounds went wrong. Ta's skin shifted to a deep purple. You were injured pursuing knowledge. On Andromeda, this would make you an honored scholar. On Earth, it just makes me different, Hannah whispered. Different is not lesser, Tay replied simply. The alien reached out with one slender hand, hesitating near Hannah's shoulder. May I? Hannah nodded, and Ta gently placed a cool hand on her forehead. Immediately, Hannah felt the fever's grip lessen slightly. Rest now, Ta said. We will speak more when you are well. As Ta left the room, Hannah realized something had fundamentally changed between them. Her secret was out, but instead of the pity or awkwardness she expected, she had found understanding from the most unexpected source. An alien with 3 eyes and blue skin, who somehow saw her more clearly than most humans ever had. 3 days after her fever broke, Hannah sat at her kitchen table with Ta. For the first time since the alien had arrived, Hannah wore shorts that clearly showed her prosthetic leg. It felt strange after years of hiding it, but also freeing. I want to show you something, Hannah said, tapping her prosthetic. This is current human technology for limb replacement. Ta leaned closer, all 3 eyes focused on the device. May I examine it more closely? Hannah nodded. You can touch it. With gentle movements, Ta's 4 hands carefully explored the prosthetic, testing its joint mechanisms and surface texture. Interesting, Ta said. The materials are advanced, but the neural integration seems limited. It's the best available, Hannah explained. It responds to muscle movements in my residual limb. But it's nothing like a real leg. On my world, we have biointegration techniques that might improve function, Ta said. The alien skin rippled with excited patterns. Our scientists have developed living prosthetics that bond with the host's nervous system. Hannah's eyes widened. That sounds like something from science fiction. To us, your technology seems equally primitive, Ta replied, then added quickly, I mean no offense. Hannah laughed. None taken. I'm a scientist, remember. I'm fascinated, not insulted. Later that week, Hannah invited Ta to her university laboratory. As they walked across campus, she noticed how Ta drew stares from students and faculty. The alien seemed unbothered, but Hannah felt a new empathy. She knew what it was like to be stared at. This is where I work, she said, unlocking her lab door. Inside, equipment hummed softly, and specimen containers lined the walls. I study how different species adapt to changing environments. Not unlike my research, Ta observed. Though I focus on communication systems between different life forms, Hannah showed Ta her current project, analyzing how Earth bacteria responded to compounds from extraterrestrial environments. As they worked side by side, Hannah realized how comfortable she felt with Ta now. The alien asked intelligent questions and offered insights from an entirely different perspective. What if we combine these approaches? Ta suggested, pointing to Hannah's data. On Andromeda, we discovered that cellular communication often requires multiple pathways. They worked late into the evening, testing Ta's theory. When the results came in, Hannah gasped. It worked. The bacteria are forming colonies in the alien substrate. Ta's skin glowed brightly with pleasure. Our combined knowledge created new understanding. Walking home under the stars, Hannah felt a shift in their relationship. Ta was no longer just a houseguest or cultural curiosity. They were becoming research partners. I have a proposal, Hannah said as they entered the apartment. Would you be interested in collaborating on a formal research project? Your perspective could be invaluable. I would be honored, Tay replied. But what about my domestic duties? Hannah waved her hand dismissively. That was just the program's structure. Your knowledge is far more valuable than your cooking skills. That night, Hannah couldn't sleep. Her mind raced with possibilities. She got up and went to her desk, leaving her prosthetic by the bed and using crutches instead. She began sketching ideas, combining her knowledge with what Ty had shared. She didn't hear Tay approach until the alien spoke. You are working rather than resting, Ty observed. Hannah turned, not bothering to hide her missing leg. I had an idea about biological integration that couldn't wait. Ta moved closer to see her sketches. You are applying Andromedan principles to your prosthetic design. Do you think it could work? Hannah asked. Perhaps with modifications, Ta said, picking up a pencil with one slender hand. Our biology differs, but the principles of neural connection are universal. They worked together until dawn, sketching and theorizing. As the sun rose, Hannah realized she had never shared this kind of intellectual connection with anyone before, human or alien. Thank you, she said simply. For what? Ty asked. For seeing me as a whole person, not defined by what I'm missing. Tay's skin shifted to a warm golden color. In my culture, we believe that gaps create space for new growth. Your missing limb created space for new knowledge to enter. Hannah had never thought of her disability that way. Not as something missing, but as space for something new. As she looked at their collaborative sketches, she realized they weren't just designing a better prosthetic. They were building a bridge between worlds. Tomorrow, she said, let's take these ideas to the bioengineering department. I think we might be onto something revolutionary. Tay's skin pulsed with agreement, not just for you, but for many species across the galaxy. 6 months had passed since Ta first arrived at Hannah's door. Now her apartment looked very different. The living room had been partially converted into a workshop, with holographic displays showing complex biological models and prototype designs. In the center stood their creation, a new kind of prosthetic leg unlike anything on Earth. It gleamed with a subtle blue-silver sheen, its surface etched with intricate patterns that mimicked the natural flow of muscle tissue. Final calibration complete, Tai announced, all 4 hands working with delicate precision on the device. Are you ready to try it? Hannah nodded, her heart racing with anticipation. She sat on a chair and removed her old prosthetic, setting it aside. The contrast between the 2 devices was striking, one mechanical and artificial, the other almost alive. Remember, Todd cautioned, this integration will feel strange at first. The neural connectors will bond with your nervous system gradually. I understand, Hannah said, taking a deep breath. I trust you. Todd carefully positioned the new prosthetic against Hannah's residual limb. As soon as it made contact, Hannah felt a warm tingling sensation. The prosthetic seemed to mold itself to her, the connection points seeking out her nerve endings. Oh, she gasped as the first neural links established. I can feel it. Remain still, Tai instructed, monitoring the process on a tablet. The biointegration needs time to stabilize. For 5 minutes, Hannah sat perfectly still, watching in wonder as the prosthetic bonded with her body. The sensation was unlike anything she had experienced. Not pain, but a strange awareness of something new becoming part of her. Now, Ta said finally, try to stand. Slowly. Hannah pushed herself up from the chair. Instead of the usual mechanical response of her old prosthetic, she felt something remarkable. The new leg moved as naturally as her biological one, responding to her thoughts rather than just her muscle movements. It's incredible, she whispered, taking a tentative step. I can feel the floor. I can feel pressure and temperature. Tay's skin glowed with satisfaction. The Andromedan bioneural interface translates sensory input directly to your nervous system. Hannah took another step, then another. Each movement felt more natural than the last. She laughed with pure joy, walking around the room with a grace she hadn't known in 5 years. "We did it," she said, tears in her eyes. "We really did it." Tay's skin pulsed with a gentle pattern that Hannah now recognized as happiness. "Our research has implications beyond just your mobility. The Andromedan Science Council is very interested." Hannah stopped pacing. "What do you mean?" "I received a communication this morning," Tay explained. "The council has reviewed our research papers. They are impressed by our cross-species collaboration and wish to invite you to Andromeda to present our findings." Hannah's mouth fell open. "To your homeworld. That's incredible." "It would be the first time a human scientist has been invited to present directly to the council," Ta said. "They believe our work could help many species throughout the galaxy." Hannah sank back into her chair, overwhelmed. 6 months ago, she had been a solitary researcher, hiding her disability and focusing on narrow scientific questions. Now she was walking on alien technology and being invited to another galaxy. "When would we leave?" she asked. "In 2 weeks. The journey takes 12 Earth days with current technology." Hannah looked around her apartment. At the furniture Ta had once tried to rearrange, at the kitchen where they'd had their first cultural misunderstandings, at her old prosthetic leg now resting against the wall. "I'll need to pack," she said, a smile spreading across her face. The following days were a blur of preparation. Hannah arranged leave from the university, explained to amazed colleagues about her research breakthrough, and learned from Tay about Andromedan customs and what to expect. On their final evening before departure, they stood together on Hannah's balcony, looking up at the stars. Hannah shifted her weight, still marveling at how natural her new leg felt. "I've been thinking," she said, "what should we do with my old prosthetic?" Tay considered the question. "On my world, tools that have served their purpose are often displayed as art, reminders of the journey taken." The next morning, before leaving for the spaceport, Hannah mounted her old prosthetic in a display case next to artifacts Tay had brought from Andromeda. Together, they symbolized the bridge between their worlds, a physical reminder of how limitations could transform into new possibilities. As they walked out the door, Hannah paused for one last look at her apartment. "Nervous?" Tay asked, noticing her hesitation. "A little," Hannah admitted. "I never imagined leaving Earth." "Remember what you told me when I first arrived?" Tay's skin rippled with gentle humor. "Curiosity is fine, but always ask first." Hannah laughed. "I'm definitely curious about your world." "And we will discover it together," Ta said, closing the door behind them. "Not as alien and human, but as partners." Stepping into the sunlight, Dr. Hannah Kim walked with confidence toward new horizons, her steps sure and steady on a leg built between worlds.